Hello, my mimics, and welcome back to the Mimic Commentary, episode 114. Last episode was a very big episode for me. It was monumental as an episode. It was a turning point for this channel and for the Theorizing, because through what we talked about, as a recap, we went over Cathedral Dragon Communion. We talked about the ties between Yura, the Bloody Fingers, and Dragon Communion, the blood of the dragons and this Lord of Blood, which seems to be tied to animalistic blood, maybe crucible blood, how I don't know if we went too in-depth into the amalgamations of, dragons are able to take on all of these different aspects of nature, and so is the Crucible. The Crucible is the primal vital energies. If we look at the Dragon Communion seal, Dragon Communion is too primal in nature. You transform into a dragon by doing Dragon Communion, by feasting on their heart, and this Crucible blood, this blood flame blades, all of that stuff, they all seem intrinsically tied together, but just like that they separate. Like, where is it? Blood flame blade, Lord of Blood, this Lord of Blood who seems to be tied to perhaps the Omen and the Misbegotten, and the Crucible also seems to be tied to dragons. So this blood of dragons has these probably fantastical ancient roots. And we did some more theorizing. Then we looked at the Banished Knights, and we were doing some theorizing about this guy who is stuck to the fringes, used to block the winds. We talked about the Storm King, the Wings of the Storm. We talked about how they're on their shields. It looks like these are wolves and lilies, and the only wolves that we really can think of right now is the Red Wolves of Radigan and this red scarf. And the last thing clicked for me, the last thing that I needed while doing that theorizing about how he was looking off to the distance at the Weeping Peninsula and Castle Morn, it occurred to me, at the Church of Pilgrimage, the Statue of Radigan, we get a sacred tear. And it's the same sacred tears we get at the Fourth Church of America, the same tears. The Lord of the Weeping Peninsula and Castle Morn is also the Lord of Tears. And I've been reading the comedy manga Road to the Erd Tree. And in the 5th volume, the character goes to Castle Morn, and they meet Edgar, who puts duty over his daughter. And he very much a Ned Stark parallel. But in the manga, he says something like, Arena can't die. And he says to the main character, you are trying to fool me. You're trying to make me think she's dead. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's just like Ronnie the Witch. Ronnie the Witch and Renala and Radigan. It was the last thing I needed. The last piece of evidence to put everything together. How can we make Radigan the Lord of Tears? Well, we look at the microcosm of the Weeping Peninsula and how it parallels the story. So the next behind-the-scenes episode for Jack as a Mimic is going to be, the first one was me ad-libbing outline for Long March of Loretta. That one is going to be writing a script. We're going to try and write the script together. And so it'll be a little bit different. It's going to be doing the writing. So I recommend. Also, last episode had some video issues, so I apologize for that. A lot of interesting theorizing. We're thinking that the grafted greatsword and is talking about a different person than the Stone Sword Monument. So Godfrey comes here and he quashes a rebellion. And then another rebellion occurs, but this grafted blade greatsword, we're thinking might be talking about a different point in time. This might not be when this sword might not have been created after Godfrey attacked. This could be the sword that the guy, the lone surviving hero, fought Godfrey with. because Godfrey is really Horaloo, and the beast Regent Siraj is a symbol that's older than Horaloo. So that's the type of theorizing we're going with there. And then I also talked about we'd be doing the Arteria Leave, so we did a whole Arteria Leave thing. And used some prophetic knowledge about the only enemies that drop Arteria Leaves are going to be trolls in the future. Now, I attacked him with the Knight in Flame stance because Muriel says that in the capital there is a statue of Radagon, and that statue, it's a statue. It's Radagon's likeness in giant stature, and it harbors a secret. And then we find this troll with a flaming sword. Not just that, but he was a mimic. He's mimicking one of the nobles, and when we defeat him, he is going to drop. He's going to drop his larval tier. So far, we've had a rune bear that was a mimic. Then we had it was reversed. First, it was a noble that turned into a rune bear. Then it was a crayfish that turned into a grafted scion, so another type of noble. Both tied. This one tied to the golden lineage. Now this is our third mimic, found in Caelid, and he turns into a troll with a flaming sword. Since the sword is on fire, I think that's saying he is aligned with Radahn. He is in alliance with Radahn. And where is he looking towards? He's looking towards Stormvale Castle. He's also looking towards Chapel of Anticipation. Yeah, this is big Radagon vibes. Huge Radagon vibes to this guy. Oh, he stepped on me. But we also talked about Eocade and Caden. A lot of great theorizing. A lot of stuff that we're going to have to work on when we do the behind the scenes and write that script. And there we get our larval tier. So far we haven't used a larval tier with our build, even though our build is very wacky and not very good. I'm kind of proud that we haven't been reborn again. The only rebirth we've actually gone through was at the Church of Vows. By going through the Church of Vows, did we get reborn in a symbolic sense. And following in the footsteps of Radagon, this series of the Mimic commentary, I'm so happy that after 113 episodes, did I finally get the piece of evidence I needed. The Weeping Peninsula Edgar comparison. Because I've mentioned multiple times, let's see, do we want to level up? No, but we want to pass, it's late day, so night should be coming soon. I don't want to miss our nighttime, guys. I also didn't edit in, there is a Miquella's Lily right here. The Miquella's Lily is in that corner. I picked it up in the first recording, never got it. But, I've mentioned Radagon is my favorite character. And the Mimic commentary is supposed to be, as we go through the Lands Between, we're learning about the world in a similar fashion that Radagon would have learned about the world. And following in his footsteps, because that's kind of what Muriel says. Muriel says, if you follow in the footsteps of Radagon, the miracle of this place will mend the world. And when I think like mending the world, in the context of Elden Ring, it's getting all of the lore and story together so that it works. Like the world is finally put together in its rightful place. And the missing piece, to me, was Radagon. He's my favorite character because of everything he symbolizes and the growth he goes through. But I was missing that one piece. How do I tie it together? Because when I write, I've been having, and you all know I've been having these issues. Oh, it's interesting when you pick up the map, the colors fade away. We haven't really, what do these runes look like? Hard to say. The issue with my script writing recently, over the past year, I would say, is that I would try to build evidence to give you the theory. We've seen that in most of my recent videos. It's just doing evidence, and then the theory is at the end. Uh-oh, I didn't mean to bite you like a dragon. You can see the fur or the feathers on his neck. But what I want is actually to give the theory and then show the evidence. But I wasn't confident that I had the piece of evidence that would make the theory come together. Specifically about Ratigan and who he is and everything he goes through. So, finally having that Weeping Peninsula connection, because... Oh, here's our map. Because the Weeping Peninsula is, our microcosm. And actually, if we're looking at our microcosm here, where is Caelid in the microcosm of the Weeping Peninsula? So if this is Raya Lucaria, this is Stormvale. I don't know if Caelid actually is really represented in the microcosm of... Maybe the Morn Moangrave is supposed to be the microcosm for it? Anyway, I'm so happy that, you guys have joined me on this journey, and I finally got that last piece of evidence, and I feel like I'm confident enough to finally put something together that will feel so concrete and concise about who Ratigan is. And then we could start talking about who Marika is. So let's look at our map for Caelid. Map of Caelid and environs. Caelid, known as the locale of the last battle between General Radahn and Melania, Blade of Mikola, is a vast land consummarily marred by scarlet rot. Well, we already knew all that, but let's look at our map. What can we see? All the new things that's on, everything getting filled in. We see the scars of scarlet rot just all through the map. This tells us that the map was, these maps were drawn afterwards, after the shattering. But it's interesting that the trees are given their normal coloring and not their Erd Tree leaves. So perhaps that indicates that by the time we get here, the Erd Tree coloring is new on the minor Erd Trees. Here's a Swamp of Aeonia, Sage's Streets. Here, as we can tell, this is Sellia. It looks like a town here. There's a church up here, very hard to see, but we saw it from the distance. Here's Redmane Castle, massive castle. I think it's the biggest fort that we've seen so far. And then it goes into this desert. Grace wanted us to go to the Cathedral of Dragon Communion. And I could see why. We learned so much there. Then it wants us to go down this way. I think there is a catacombs beneath it. This would go through Radahn, but I did a poll in the Discord. We're going to actually go through Sellia first, do the Swamp of Aeonia, and do Millicent's questline. Here's our merchant. This guy has a much different clothing than the other merchants that we've seen so far. Dark clothing. Who? Oh, we don't have his name yet. He is a nomadic merchant. So let's compare him to our other merchants. Nomadic. Okay. This guy has the Wilder set. So that's a connection. Wilder. The isolated merchants have the... That's the isolated... He's nomadic. Okay. The isolated merchant here. Both of the isolated merchants have the Night Rain stuff. Is this guy nomadic or is he... Okay, he's nomadic as well. And then beneath we have the Hermit Merchant. And... That's an isolated merchant shack. Is there any other merchants that we've met? I think that's it. Okay, so, and I want to pay attention to what he sells. Crackpot. Always need a crackpot. That's our analysis. We're cracked pots. We're doing cracked pot theorizing. Stone sword key. So there's a key in here. There's something that we need to know. Gravity's advantage. Okay, we're going to want that. Flaming bolts. Burn tip. Nothing interesting there. Used by survivors. Actually, we'll take that. We'll just take one so we know. Used by survivors of Radahn's army to stave off Scarlet Rot. Nomadic Warriors Cookbook. Rot Bone. So remember, the nomadic warriors, the roaming nomad warriors, contains knowledge for surviving in the face of utter scarcity. This is old, ancient knowledge tied to most likely our blue dancer culture, because we've even found nomadic warriors cookbooks in the underground sold by the hermit merchants. They know the application of rot. We know the blue dancer culture. Rot is ancient, as ancient as the underground. So, using rot in an application to hunt animals. We're going to see how you create those things. This one's interesting. So first we have, this is Nefeli Lu's set. This is the set Nefeli Lu wears, but this is also this is the hero class, I believe. This is the starting class. Headband reserved for Badlands Bravest. So remember, this is armor that comes from outside of the lands between. It is following... Okay, wait. Headband reserved for the Badlands Bravest. Proof that the wearer has slaughtered countless foes. So we know now Nefeli Lu has slaughtered countless foes. Following the example of their chieftain Horlu, the brave warriors of the Badlands shun excess adornment. So Godfrey becomes Horlu, and he shuns excess adornment. It used to be this king, the king of the Erdtree, until he was banished and grace was taken away. And when it's taken away, I guess he takes away also the aesthetics with grace. When the grace of gold is taken from him, he takes away everything else. He doesn't wear gold, he doesn't wear jewels, he doesn't wear medallions. He just wears whatever he needs to be able to fight. So we're going to put on the set and see what it looks like. We also need to pop some to buy the Grape Helm. Let's see. I just need, I think, 400 should be good. It's interesting that he sells a Great Helm amongst this. Sturdy Great Helm made from iron. The iron is important. Iron, as we will see, this is some prophetic knowledge, as we will see, there's only one area within Elden Ring that actually has an excess of iron. I'm just gonna give you the prophetic knowledge right now. Iron comes from the mountaintops of the giants. You can find it all over the place. And interesting that though it is uncomfortably heavy and obstructs the vision of the wearer, it provides considerable damage negation. So why is there an iron Great Helm here? This Great Helm also reminds me of the Great Helm that the Cathedral of the Deep Knights and the Lothric Knights wear in Dark Souls 3. Why is this put amongst the champions, Horlu, and the Badlands? I don't know. We have to think on that. So first, let's look at our Nomadic Warriors Cookbook. How do we craft our Rot Bone arrows? You could see the rot is at the end. Arrow whittled from animal bones. The tip is dabbed. I can't read. With rot. Flicks target start lot. All you need is Aeonian butterflies. So we know that the Aeonian butterflies are tied to the myth that they were once the wings to the goddess of rot herself. However, as we're going to see, that might not be the case. Like, how do myths form? Because we found these things underground. So does that mean the goddess of rot was underground in the ancient dynasty? You know, use your prophetic knowledge. Who's the goddess of rot? How have we seen butterflies that made up the wings of the goddess of rot when we peer into the future? Does that mean they were also in the underground? Let's look at our champion set. Alright, here's our champion set. Anything interesting on the pauldron? So one shoulder pauldron. Do we see any animals on here? I'm kind of seeing maybe a helmet or a face in the pauldron. But I'm not too sure. Held together with a rope. Armbands on the biceps. Very similar to Radagon and the Radagon and Marika statues with the ties on the armbands. Oh, I didn't notice that my character has hairy arms. Headband with a cloth above it. I imagine because the Badlands might be a very sunny place, and this may be to cover the head from sunlight. The most interesting thing, though, is the chain around the waist and the red fur. Like, especially when we think, where does red fur come from? Well, it comes from the Misbegotten. The Misbegotten have red on their thighs. The Leonine Misbegotten are all red. Radon is the Red Manes. He has red hair. Melania has red hair. Radagon has red hair. The Red Wolves of Radagon have red hair. So why is there red hair? What does this signify on the waistband? Is this like a charm for protection, a charm of victory? It's actually all around the back. Is this like we've defeated someone and we take their red hair? Like, why does Horlu, why do his warriors have the red hair? Well, when we think actually back to last episode of the Theorizing we did about the Grafted Greatsword, the Grafted Blade Greatsword and the Lone Surviving Champion, the Revenger, the Oath of Vengeance. Oh. What's up, buddy? You want to tussle? Oh, don't hit the merchant. Yeah. Could this be an indication that the Lord of Castle Morn had red hair, and that's part of that history as well? Oh, he's too fast. I'm not going to be able to hit him with the Ash of War there. How much damage is that to? Could also probably hit him with this. Or he'll just hit me. Uh-oh, that's not the one I wanted. Yeah, I don't have any poise with the champion's armor. Let's knock him off his horse. Interesting that we haven't fought any Erd Tree Sentinels in a while, but there is a dichotomy between how the Knights Cavalry can be kicked off of their horses, but the Erd Tree Sentinels cannot. Ash of War, Poison, Moth, Flight. So this is actually making me think. I've been thinking about the Cavalry and why they have the armor that they do, or the Ash of Wars that they do, indicating who they might be. Oh, Deathrite Bird coming out at night. He's actually interesting that this Deathrite Bird is just walking around at night rather than spawning in. All of the other Deathrite Birds that we've seen have spawned in. Like they come from nowhere to attack us. Sorcerers, Sellia most likely. This is what they're there for. Very cool fire bombs. A troll off in the distance. Okay, let's hit the Site of Grace and then we'll go after that Deathrite Bird. We're not going to go into the swamp yet. We're going to keep going around. Actually, does this give us Grace? Is Grace pointing anywhere? No, it's not. So we're going the right way. This thing doesn't have Grace, so we're going the right way. We are going to need not the Regalia. This has Sacred Blade. We are also going to need. Let's armor up. All right, I feel like this guy's gonna be. Tough. But hopefully this Sacred Blade will do something for us. Also, you can. I haven't made mention of this. Caelid seems like it was a battleground. The entire area was a battleground because of how many weapons we just find littered on the ground. Are we able to summon anyone here? No, it's just going to be a one-on-one fight. Oh, but this does a lot of damage. That builds up Deathblight. His weapon is building up Frostbite. The cold Ghostflame. Woo. Oh, help him away. Okay. Very close. Oh no. We see the men and his wings. This is only our second Deathrite Bird. The first Deathrite Bird gave us gave us Ancient Death's Rancor. Oh no. That's alright, we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him. There we go. Oh, goodness, that was close. Okay, so this guy, like the Knights Cavalry, like the other Deathbirds, he was only here at night. However, he was at night without just summoning in. That indicates to me that Caelid is a special place in some way. You know, I was building up Arcane, but now I got this weapon. Barbed, this is Death's Poker. Let's take a look at it. This is the weapon that they've been holding in their hands. It's crooked at the end. A hole at the bottom. It's just a poker. It's like a fire poker. Great sword moveset. Oh, unique. R2. What about when it's... Oh yeah, that's a really unique R2. Very unique moveset. Let's look at the Ash of War. Ghostflame Ignition. Barbed rod carried by Deathbirds. The birds are graveyard firekeepers, so it's jumping out at us. Firekeepers. That's Dark Souls. They're firekeepers, but graveyard firekeepers. So there's fires kept in graveyards. It is said they rake out the ashen remains. When I think ashen remains, very Dark Souls 3. I'm getting very the ashen ones of the dead from their kilns, and then kiln with the first flame. Unique skill, Ghostflame Ignition. Thrust out the barbed rod and set the tip alight with Ghostflame. Follow up with a normal attack to set a grounded blaze of Ghostflame, or strong attack for a massive... Oh, what's the... Oh, we're going to be using this weapon. Yeah, we're going to upgrade this weapon. Look at that. That doesn't hurt me, does it? So we've been talking about this old, ancient culture of the Deathbirds. That... They are burnt. They have to dispose of their dead in some way. The dead need to be disposed of in some way. In the... Oh, nice. That proccing Frostbite. Yeah, this is gonna be a weapon we're using. I thought we were gonna go Arcane, but back to Intelligence. We were talking about how this ancient culture is burning the dead and cremating them with Ghostflame, and then these Deathbirds come... and they take their spirits from the fire, and they're harvesting them. It looks like maybe they're harvesting them in their wings, maybe they're harvesting them in their bodies. But it's very different than Erd Tree Burial or Root Burial or just burying into the roots. So it seems like people can't die in this world for whatever reason. So we need ways to dispose of the dead. One of the ways to dispose of the dead is burying into a regular graveyard, like here. There's a regular graveyard here. There's the Great Tree Root system that goes throughout all of the lands between, and it looks like maybe their souls are going into the Great Tree Root system. If you're in the Great Tree Root system, maybe you're just in there until you can be absorbed by, perhaps, the Erd Tree. Now you're getting Erd Tree Burial. But the Erd Tree we know hasn't always been around, even though it was once perfect and eternal. Which Greedy King in the Discord had brought up, that something can't once be eternal, because eternal means it has no beginning. But I think we'll see how we will see how something can once have a beginning and then not have a beginning anymore. The other thing is burning them in Ghostflame cremation. We learned from Aghail's Flame that people want to be cremated because they want to die. They don't want to live in this mortal coil anymore. So how do we resolve that? Well, we have the Erd Tree Burial, we have the Great Tree Burial, but then we have this Ghostflame cremation. But it makes, when you do that Ghostflame cremation, you get these vengeful spirits from the ashes. So it's not a very positive thing. So who is getting cremated in Ghostflame? Horde of vengeful spirits. Cinders of the ancient death hex, raked from the fires of Ghostflame by Deathbirds. So the Deathbirds are taking their pokers, and they're graveyard firekeepers. So there's graveyards with Ghostflame burning, and they're burning the dead in that Ghostflame. And then the ashen remains of the dead are being raked from the kilns by the Deathbirds. And in those ashen remains are very similar to our ashen remains. Perhaps, and we know the act of, where's our ashes? We know that our act of spirit summoning and puppetry is tied to the Carians, and most likely tied to the Eternal culture and the Underground culture. it's the act of being able to summon spirits. So perhaps the cremation of Ghostflame and the Death Birds is a perversion of this sacred spirit tuning act. This is where we're looking at the two sets of dancer culture, the red dancer culture and the blue dancer culture. The divergence could be, the red is the body, the blue is the mind. But it's kind of opposite, where the red dancers are being able to channel their mind and their force of will, is lying down there, to be able to move things with their mind, where the blue dancers are kind of using their mind and their body they're using their mind to be able to move their body in ways like water, to be fluid. So I'm thinking that perhaps the reason why Ghostflame is like not a very good thing, but it's still part of people's culture, is because it's part of this spirit tuning culture that people don't understand properly, and they're using it incorrectly, if that makes sense. So we're going to take how many? One, oh, we don't have any ones. Oh, but we can upgrade a lot. Okay, we're going to go to EG, and EG is going to upgrade a weapon, because I think he sells Somber Smithing Stone ones, and that's what we need. And I think we can make a very good case.
Greetings, my fellow. How can
I think we can make a very good case for... Oh, he sells unlimited. I think we make a very good case for people mistaking culture in that way. Do we want to go... This will go to +5. Let me look at our stats. C, D, and D. You know what? We're going to strengthen this. Which one do we want to go to +6? I'm going to hold on to it. Although this does less damage overall than the Sword of Night and Flame, it is a great sword. And do we have anything? Do we have enough to level up? Not yet. Alright. We continue on. We have a roaming band. Oh, let's test it out. Oh, I should have tried to get the jump on them. I wasn't able... I got my poise broken. I wasn't able to... Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome. If I follow up, that costs as well. So we're not using this anymore. Let's go with our Carian Crest. How much damage does that do? Oh my goodness. Okay, we're sticking with this. This is a great moveset. We're loving it. Perhaps this iron helmet indicates just like how old? I don't know, because we don't see these types of helmets anywhere. I think maybe that's what it's supposed to indicate, the age of Caelid. Caelid is this older place. It has this older culture, just by way of seeing that Death Bird. Alright, we got a troll watching us from the distance. First one I've seen throw fire pots like that. Definitely the mages, the sorcerers of Sellia have set these guys up to guard their city. And yeah, he's throwing a magic pot with magic flame, definitely tied to the Sellian sorcerers. Yeah, and he's screwing me up. Torrent, get me out of here. Very similar gate front to the gate front ruins. But this has the Erdtree sigil on it. Oh no! My great rune! I didn't think you could see me. I wanted to talk about the gate. Oh, what a shame. Don't worry. Someone commented on the Ainsel River episode, and they're like, you pop great runes like they grow on trees. And The one that I used came from an ant, and I was like, well, that one grew inside of an ant, not in a tree. But we live on the edge here. All right, am I safe? I want to talk about when this was probably built, because it's built with the tree insignia. So it's most likely... Oh, Sellia Gateway. So it's the gateway to Sellia, but when was it built? When was it built in conjunction to Sellia? Because Sellia is a different architecture. What about these? Are these... Have we seen these before? Do these look like the ones on the Bellum Highway? Because if they're similar to the ones in the Bellum Highway, it would show, I would think, conquest. What do we have here? Stop by the shack. All right. So this guy really wants us to come by. In the distance, we have one of our big dogs, but this dog has a collar, and he's sitting. How nice. There's a guy in the shack. How nice is he sitting? When we were coming actually down here, we've noticed many rot pests with dogs. So it's very easy for all of these groups to be able to domesticate these animals. Okay, let's hit him with the explosion. Look at that. Holy moly. Sorry, Fido. Cleric ahead. Likely angel. Likely angel. Likely angel. How much celestial dew do we have? 2. Alright, here's this guy hanging out in a shack. Palms up. Gowry's shack. Let's take a look at him before we... Freckles on his face. Palms up. His eyes look faded and old. Definitely an old man, but what is he wearing? He is wearing the Sage's Hood. Burgundy pointed hood, red. Attire of wise sages who were deemed heretical. Evidence that the wearer is driven from town. So this is a heretical guy driven from town. Was he driven from Sellia? Was he driven from this town? Well, we found the Sage's set in the Stillwater Cave. So a follower of Melania's army, or a follower of the poison mushroom men who follow Melania and worship her rot as a god. They worship the rot that she was born into as a god, most likely because of the legends of the Blue Dancer. So let's see what Gowry has to say.
Oh, a pleasure to see you. A pleasure indeed. I am Gowry, a great sage. In my day, anyway. I'd hoped to ask a favor when one of your ilk came along. A strapping young tarnished, able to cross the scarlet swamp of Aeonia. Don't fret, I'll provide fine recompense. Should you accept, I will teach you the secret of Sellia, the town you see there.
Well, I'd love to hear the secrets of Sellia before I went there. He was waiting for a strapping young tarnished like ourselves. Now, we know about prophecy. Is this guy, does he know prophecy? Was he waiting for our tarnished in particular? Did he know a tarnished would come and help him? That's some of the questions we should be asking. Can sages like him, who are heretical, can they see prophecy in a way that someone like us would come and help him? Now, we might not have been waiting for us in particular, but he could have been waiting for someone like us, that he knew a tarnished would come by. Specifically a tarnished. Let's refuse first.
My apologies. I rather got ahead of myself, didn't I? Well, no matter. I'm accustomed to waiting. But if you should decide to hear my offer, whenever that may be, do come and speak with me again. I'll wait as long as it takes.
All right, he's going to keep waiting. Let's do it again.
Changed your mind, have you? If you are willing to undertake my request, I'll gladly share with you the secret of Sellia, the town yonder.
It's also, we finally made it to Sellia, which is fantastic.
Then you are willing to lend a hand, are you? I I need your help to heal a certain young girl.
Okay.
Her name is Millicent. You will find her beyond Sellia, resting at the church atop the cliff, stricken by the rotting sickness.
Okay. Millicent sounds like Melania, sounds like Mikola, has the rotting sickness. The church yonder. Past Sellia is Millicent. He wants us to heal her. Is this a microcosm story? What's the microcosmic story? The girl with the rotting sickness? Well, that's Melania. Melania was born with the accursed rot. But we don't know about any sages guiding Melania.
The rotting sickness that afflicts Millicent has no cure. When the Erd Tree flourished, even the demigods could not stave off its effects, despite their nigh godhood. But Millicent's suffering can be ameliorated. For this, you are to find a certain needle. Seek the deep, scarlet swamp of Aeonia outside Sellia's bounds. The needle, made from unalloyed gold, is lost somewhere there.
All right. Big stuff here. So, the rotting sickness that afflicts Millicent has no cure. So, she has the rotting sickness very similar to Melania's rotting sickness. Though she never knew relief from the accursed rot she was born into, her blade was forever beautiful and relentless. So, like Melania, Millicent and her have the same rotting sickness that has no cure. And that rotting sickness is most likely this ancient god that was sealed away, a god that was rot itself. You can't cure a god. When the Erd Tree flourished, so this one's interesting. When the Erd Tree flourished, and to flourish is to grow and develop in a vigorous way. The Erd Tree was once perfect and eternal. How could it flourish? It should have always been. It was once perfect and eternal, so it was believed that there couldn't be seeds. Again, how could something flourish if it's eternal? How could something have a beginning if it's eternal? It should be the same way that it is. Should we trust Gowry, this heretical sage? Well, since he's a heretical sage, he's telling us things that other people don't really know or don't really believe. He's this heretical sage, driven from town, very similar to our prophet. Our prophet was driven from town because they said things that people didn't agree with. They foretold misfortune. They did not like what they were saying. Even the demigods could not stave off its effects, despite their nigh godhood. So all of the demigods couldn't stave off the effects. That's interesting when it says the Erd Tree flourished. That the Erd Tree flourished. So, breaking down that sentence. So when the Erd Tree began, even the demigods, who are the offspring of Marika, could not stave off the effects of the rotting sickness, despite nearly being gods. Well, because rot is a god itself, so they are almost gods, but they can't defeat that god. But Millicent's suffering can be ameliorated. For this, you need to find a certain needle. Now, we still have in our inventory, it's in our key items, I think, Radagon's golden needle, Radagon's golden sewing needle. This one actually has golden hair as the thread. Sewing needle made of gold, unique item made to alter demigod attire. One of the tools brought by Radagon when he entered into marriage with Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, and joined the Carian line. We also have his tailoring tools. So Radagon is tied to gold needles. And somehow, this needle can ameliorate Millicent's suffering. Somehow this needle, this needle, which is supposed to weave threads, and when we think threads, we think the threads that we saw in the trailer for the announcement trailer of Elden Ring, the threads of fate, the narrative threads of our story. Seek the deep scarlet swamp of Aeonia, outside of Sellia. The needle, made from unalloyed gold, is lost there. Oh, okay, unalloyed gold. Well, what is, so this needle is made out of unalloyed gold. What else is made of unalloyed gold? Miquella's lilies, a delicate water lily of unalloyed gold that has started to fade and wilt. Flower signifying faith in the Caelid tree, thought to be beloved by the Empyrean Miquella in his youth. Okay, so Miquella, Radagon is tied to golden needles, but Miquella is tied to unalloyed gold, and this is a unalloyed golden needle. So Radagon has a golden needle, and then his son, do we know it's his son? Miquella is his son? We're going to learn soon. So prophetic knowledge. Miquella is Radagon's son. His son now has unalloyed gold. To be unalloyed is to be pure. So it's pure gold. It's just gold. So this pure gold needle. Just gold. Pure gold. Think about that in the future. Think about pure gold. What else? Are Miquella's bewitching branches, are they unalloyed gold? Let's find, where is our bewitching branches? Tree branch blessed with an incantation of unalloyed gold. So an incantation of pure gold. Which should be, so that actually tells us something very interesting. This actually tells us something very interesting. The Erd tree could not stave off the rotting sickness. Why can't the Erd tree stave off the rotting sickness? Well, because it's not pure gold. It's not pure gold. The red tinged and gold coat mirrors the primordial matter that became the Erd tree. Dragon communion is too primal in nature. These are multiple overlapping veins from a single root. Perhaps they are a vestige of the primordial crucible. One of the ancient Erd tree incantations. This is a manifestation of the Erd tree's primal vital energies, an aspect of the primordial crucible where all life was once blended together. So the Erd tree is gold, but it has this gold that's tainted in blood. It's tainted with red. Now we think symbolically about something being tainted in blood. Well, we go to our Erd tree grape row, found in the Fringe Folk Hero's grave. Where is our Erd tree grape row? In times of old, when faith and battle went hand in hand. So the Erd tree is tainted because it's gold created on blood. It's created on bloodshed. It's created on human sacrifices. Human sacrifices. In the catacombs. People being buried into the roots. Could it be similar to sacramental buds? An immature bud containing fresh blood, believed to originate long ago from a strain of buds cultivated with youthful sacramental blood. Now, is this the blood that goes into the Erd tree? Like the arterial leaves? Like anything else in blood? Like blood roses? Like our beast blood? Or is it a different type of blood that's being used? This blood's sacramental way that it's different, that it makes unalloyed gold. It makes pure gold. Pure gold. Think about pure gold. It really, really, use your prophetic knowledge. Think about pure gold. Think about an incantation from Shadow of the Erd tree that is just gold. Okay?
First, you must find the unalloyed gold needle. It's hidden somewhere in the deep scarlet swamp of Aeonia. Then I will tell you, as promised, the secret of the town of Sellia.
And it's Miquella. Miquella is the one with pure gold. Miquella's lilies are the only thing. The unalloyed gold of Miquella, his lilies, his incantations of the bewitching branch, they're the only thing that can cure rot. But what is pure gold? Alright, everybody. That ends this episode of the Mimic Commentary. Next episode, we will continue into the swamp of Aeonia to retrieve the needle. But first,
there are countless pests to choose from.
everybody has their secrets. In the next episode, we'll also talk about the Faithful's Canvas Talisman and the Hive Mind Rot Pests, the many led by the one. Everybody, you know the drill. There are many pests to choose from, so let's do the thing.